volunteers as well. And I'm sure that the real game changer comes from the engineering. We've got this conference about recovery. Defense industry is about economic recovery. Out of 5% economic growth last year, 1.5% comes from defense industry in Ukraine. And for us, there is no better way to get back to economic recovery rather than build up strong defense industry. It's not only about security, it's about economic recovery. When we speak about Zbroyery, that's the same name for the initiative we have to fund local procurement from Ukrainian manufacturers. And I'm grateful to those nations that have been the first to partner with us. Denmark was the first one, Canada is the second one, then US joined, and more to come, right, Mark? I know that Dutch Minister of Defense is spending her days in Ukraine now. We met her the day before yesterday at 1 o'clock in the midnight at the station. So it never happens in normal world, but the commitment we have from our partner nations is astonishing. We're grateful for that. I'm sure that we would be grateful enough and share the lessons learned we have to our partner nations and help them build up their industries as well. One day Ukraine will join EU and NATO. In that moment, you will get a strong partner with strong defense industry, not competing to yours, but complementary to yours. And that moment, Europe and NATO will increase its defense capabilities. Meanwhile, let's build the arsenal of the free world together. Thank you.
I want to ask now Mr. Mark Rutte, Prime Minister of Netherlands. As Minister mentioned, there are a lot of activities of Netherlands in Ukraine. So maybe you will tell us a couple words about what you do to support Ukraine defense industry and why is it so important for your country?
It's crucial, and I always see a sort of triangle in front of me. The first part of the triangle, obviously, is that we have to deliver defense capabilities directly into Ukraine. So, for example, now working with others to scramble together another Patriot system. We have at least a few of the issues available, like the rocket launchers and the radar system, but we need support of others, and we hope in the coming days to bring this together so that there is another Patriot system for Ukraine. In total, we have now committed 17 billion. A lot of it is already spent on Ukraine. But the second part of the triangle is, of course, reconstruction, which is today's subject particularly. But the third part of the triangle is the defense industry. Because for the longer term, Ukraine needs to accelerate building that industry. And one of the things we have done is that we had a trade mission into Ukraine in March with the same Minister for Defense who is now, I think she's still there already back, I'm not sure, at least 1 o'clock at night. She's still there?
Time should depart. And I know for sure that she will arrive on time because she travels on rail, not like I've done yesterday with Ryanair.
And this is one of the amazing things in Ukraine, that your trains still travel on time. It's amazing. No, but she is now back in Ukraine, and but she was there a couple of months ago working with a couple of Dutch defense corporations, particularly in the drone industry, to work with their counterparts in Ukraine to make it very practical. And we have to integrate as much as possible the European defense industry in Germany and other countries and Ukraine and accelerate the level of production. It's not competition, it is in addition, because I think we all now know that the peace dividend, that story is gone. The end of history, 1989, after 1998, 1989, after the Berlin Wall came down, that's all part of history now. Luckily, this is now the fact we have to face. But there is a second layer to this, and this is also something you mentioned. The second layer is that in Ukraine, and when I've now visited 4 times since late February 22, in Odessa, in Kharkiv, twice in Kiev. When you speak with people, for example, in hospitals, you guys have to implement new technologies which have not really been fully developed yet, because you do not have the luxury of waiting till it has been fully developed. We are all learning from you, and you have this agility in Ukraine to example, for example, how you yes. For example, how you deal with your veterans, and particularly when they have been struck by war, and how you get them on their feet as soon as possible, if that is at all possible, of course. And the way you do this is amazing, but also in your defense industry. And this agility and the fact that you guys do this at such incredible speed, we learn from this. We all learn from this, and it is part of this story of this war. The story of this war will be written for many years. And we hope it ends as soon as possible. And it is about the incredible courage of Ukraine. It is about the fact that we have this common goal collectively, because this is our values, but also our safety, which is at stake, all of us here, Ukraine and not Ukraine. But also about, next to this incredible courage, it is this story about your agility, the fact that you can react, implement, and do this at a speed that we all learn from this. And again, that story will be written, and it is why I admire you guys so much. If you would not have it, we would still support you, but this makes it so much easier.
Thank you so much. We also have Minister Nusrat Ghani, Minister of Europe, Minister of State in the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, United Kingdom. So we also have a story, a lot of projects, and we got a great support from Great Britain. So maybe you will tell us more from your perspective why you support Ukraine and what are main activities.
Thank you so much. For us, this conflict, we fundamentally believe, is the conflict of our generation. And we were really keen to provide the support that was needed really early on, and I hope that Ukraine has felt that support. And we were supporting Ukraine because it's an independent, democratic nation, but also because we fundamentally understood that Putin, as a totalitarian imperialist, wasn't going to stop at any border. He could wake up at any day, at any moment of the week, and decide this is where he wanted to go next. So what Ukraine is doing, not only defending itself, it's defending all of us. So we have always made sure that we provided support for Ukraine that was never, and this is most important, time limited. We have committed to Ukraine for as long as it takes. And that is a message that myself and the Foreign Secretary want to get across today at this conference. We know that, thank you. We know that Putin is committed to a long-term war of attrition as long as his economy allows him to do so, which is why we have to ensure that support we provide is never time-limited when it comes to Ukraine. We know that Putin winning in Ukraine will fundamentally undermine the European project and undermine security across Europe as well. We know that Putin is a territorial denier, a territory denier. We know that Europe, like we are in the UK and the US, should be very, very worried about that. We know that Putin is convinced himself that he can rebuild some sort of Russian superpower. We know it's delusional, but unfortunately he will do everything he can to do that. We also know that Putin believes that we may become distracted this year. So much is happening in our own countries, right? And if the support for Ukraine dwindles, Russia believes that before it runs out of men, material, and money, Ukraine must run out of support. We must make sure that we do everything we can so that never, ever happens. So what are we doing? So I think the Foreign Secretary, forgive me for using a Hollywood term, at a conference recently, quoting Jerry Maguire, said what we should be doing is showing Ukraine the money. So forgive me for using that term. So that's our message to all of our allies and message to Putin, that we will do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. And of course, we've increased our support for Ukraine, and since Congress passed their crucial US aid deal in April, allies have been opening up their checkbooks. And Britain's gone even further, pledging support until the end of this decade or beyond if it's needed. And a bit like show me your money again, it's also the message industry has been sending to governments like ours. They need the certainty and the consistency in the fact that money will constantly arrive so they can continue to manufacture. We know that financial commitment is absolutely important to open up and expand production. So we've listened and we've acted, and we know much more needs to be done. At home, our Prime Minister has pledged to increase defence spending to a new baseline of 2.5% of GDP by 2030. That's a generational investment, because Russia's assault on Ukraine is the defining struggle, as I mentioned, of our generation. At a time of such danger and uncertainty in the world, our response needs to be one of strength, resilience and unity. So the next 6 years, Britain plans to put an additional £75 billion into defence. That includes £10 billion for munitions, backed by long-term contracts. Plus, we will step up research and development for new weapon system, space capabilities and other emerging technologies to a minimum of 5% of the defence budget, touching on the drone technology you mentioned earlier. We're also going to establish an innovation agency to manage this work, focusing efforts through a single organisation. Beyond Britain, look at the action across Europe and within NATO too. The Washington summit next month will herald huge progress towards meeting the 2% goal. And for the first time this year, European allies will together spend over 2% of our collective GDP. And the trend is clear. An 11% increase in defence spend by European allies and Canada last year, the huge transformation in Germany's approach to spending and relations with Russia, and Poland spending an incredible 4% of GDP on defence last year. But the UK recognises the need to go further. We're making the case for our 2.5% budget to become the new NATO standard. We must also ensure our efforts are well coordinated, so we are maximising every pound, dollar and euro to produce more of what Ukraine needs. And that is why Britain is championing new multinational procurement initiatives which create the scale and long-term certainty industry needs to reduce costs and expand production capacity. And that is why we are keen for EU initiatives to support closer defence industrial collaboration across the whole continent and, of course, with NATO. Of course, we're also seeing Ukraine's own defence industry grow and innovate at remarkable speed in the most difficult circumstances, and we're supporting that too. Britain sent its largest ever trade mission to Kyiv in April, with 29 British firms visiting, including BAE Systems. We also signed a framework arrangement allowing our countries to cooperate on projects to increase our defence and industrial production. And as a result of that mission, UK industry has established a presence on the ground in Ukraine. Further visible concrete evidence that we are with our friends there for as long as it takes, and an opportunity for our allies to use that same industrial base as a springboard to do the same. President Zelensky has talked about making Ukraine the defence manufacturing hub in Europe. That is a vision we fully support, and we will be with you every step of the way. So today, let's increase the momentum for initiatives like this and find new ways to continue our collaboration and make Ukraine's defence industry a key driver of its economic development and recovery. To defend Ukraine and to defend the world order we all believe in. We've got no time to lose, so the question is, why wait? Let's help now.
Thank you, Minister Ghani. And we have 5 minutes left, so let's summary. And I'd like to ask you, what are maybe your expectations from Ukrainian defense industries? There are a lot of representatives here in this room, so maybe a couple words about how we can work better.
I just wanted to say that I'm also very much looking forward that we will have a forum between our German industry, the BDE, our German Industry Association, plus our German Association of the Sector for the defense sector industry, together with our Ukrainian partners. So, Nusrat, what you have been talking about is, inspiring many, and we are also working on making that cooperation inside Ukraine, also in terms of what we can contribute even more. So, thank you to the two associations. It's sort of a German-Ukrainian project. But I think it's a very good one. So maybe just as to say, so any Ukrainian company also interested, I think it would be important, also German. And if I may say what Nusrat, you said, you know, this long-term budget perspective, I totally agree. We need these long-term contracts. We have a huge struggle, of course, of our budget these days. I hope we will resolve it in a way that we can make those commitments exactly in this sector in the long term as well.
I want to add from my side that Germany is quite well arranged in terms of defense industry. We've got strong association. Is Matthias in the room? No? Send him good words, because again, we already had 3 rounds of this kind of events, and more to come. And the next one would be the day after tomorrow. German companies come and meet with Ukrainian. We have a number of meetings, number of rounds, and finally it gives the result. We got a number, like over 10 projects running well. And I'm sure that more to come with other nations. We agreed the timing with the Minister of Defense of Netherlands, with UK we had several ones, and with other nations we'll have the same ones. And I'm sure it will make the story fly. Thank you.
And make the story... Yeah. And make the story really implementable and practical. That's also what you are doing, because your strength is that you are extremely clear on what you need. So you do not need to have all these long discussions, which will take weeks and months before you get to what is really necessary. And that is really very helpful. Always when Volodymyr Zelensky is traveling, he knows more about what we have in stock than we know ourselves. That's really your strength. And by the way, it is now all in Ukraine, but don't tell others. No, and I also agree on the money. So we increased our defense spending in the last 2 years by 25%, and we are now spending consistently about 0.3% on Ukraine, and we will do that for the coming years. Also with the new government coming in, that will not change. This will just continue, because this is crucial. Your fight is our fight. It is about our values, about our safety. And indeed, our industry needs to get connected as closely as possible. And therefore, again, thank you for hosting the defense minister in Kiev. But sometimes I think she lives there, not in The Hague, and that's good. Thank you.
If we're talking about defence procurement, we've got a lot of manufacturers, no doubt, in the room. We had, obviously, a lot of them visiting Ukraine most recently. What they need is certainty. And, of course, we've got the £15 billion commitment, but we've got the £3 billion commitment year on year for as long as it takes. And that provides the level of certainty for procurement to be in place, but also supply chains as well. We talked about supply chains earlier when you were visiting London. And that's what we need. We need long-term commitments. We need to have coordinated procurement. We need to make sure that the skills and expertise that we have in the UK, a huge amount in technology, if I may say, especially when it comes to drone tech. So the work that we're doing is not only providing defense equipment, but also sharing IP and expertise. And this will evolve over time as the conflict evolves over time. Technology will evolve. And that is what we're providing with the UK industry, that certainty. We want to make sure that we are providing you with the IP and the tech that enables you to defend yourselves going forward, but also encouraging all of our allies and partners to lean in as much as we are. It's not just about the financial commitment, but it's about the products and getting them to you when you need them, as fast as you need them.
So I'm very grateful to my guests, to Dr. Franziska Brandner, to Prime Minister Mark Rutte, to Minister Alexander Commission, and to Minister Nusrat Ghani for having time with us. And we're switching for industrial panel now.
Thanking to speakers, I would like also to thank to the moderator. Now you know that she is representing my minister, so now you know how I get to the panel, actually. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry, we just finished the first part of the panel, but we are staying for industrial panel with Ukrainian and foreign companies working in Ukraine. So let's start. We have representative of different parts of Ukrainian defense industry. So here with us is German Smetanin, Chief Executive Officer joint stock company in defense industry. Just to let you know, this is a state-owned part of Ukrainian defense industry, an old one. Under its umbrella, it's about 67 big enterprise dealing mostly with weapons and armor technique, etc. So Herman Smetanin will speak a bit about his experience in growing a defense industry in Ukraine, like under shelling, let's say, or under the fire. So please. No?
Доброго дня. Доброго дня.
Greetings to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings. On the beginning of my speech, I would like to thank each of you for your support of Ukraine and its fight for independence against the Russian Federation. When you talk about the challenges that we have in Ukraine because of this war, maybe we can have a reflection about this when I talk about the problems which we face now in Ukraine, our defense industry. We need to grow our own production on the territory of Ukraine. We need to learn how to manufacture new products that our armed forces in Ukraine need, and especially this technology that you have in your countries. First of all, I would like to thank to German companies that work in the defense industry in their openness in this cooperation. We already have certain cases that we cooperate on the territory of Ukraine, and also we have some projects in realization already. And also I would like to stress that we need to work on the stability of the enterprises of this industry in Ukraine. We need to also talk about blackouts without the energy. We need to work on the stability of the processes that we have on our enterprises. We need to work on our critical technological processes that need to be transferred in the underground facilities. Also, I would like to stress on some cases that we had recently because of the growth of our work in Ukraine. Because of that, we need more financing. We can produce more, but we need the financing. And in this, I would like to talk about the initiative of the project that you have heard from our Minister of Strategic Industries. He talked about it. This will allow us to provide and secure the long-term contracts in our countries that we can manufacture ourselves. We can work on the projects that we do together with the companies of our countries, partner countries. And as a result, to sum up my speech, what I want to say that the broadening of the production facilities in Ukraine and adaptation of our manufacture facilities to the needs of the armed forces of Ukraine is the most important in our cooperation, because this way you will support our defense industry to the best. Thank you.
We spoke before, innovations are a very important part of our defense industry. We don't have that much funds, we don't have that much people as our enemy has, but our technologies and innovations makes for us a lot to succeed on the front line. And we have with us Natalia Kushnerska. She is Chief Operating Officer, Defense Tech Cluster Brave One. So Natalia is representative of young initiatives that become defense industry companies in Ukraine. So she maybe will speak a bit about innovations in Ukraine.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for support and for having us here. And today there is already acknowledged global fact that Ukraine today is the most dynamic innovation hub. And today, actually, in Ukraine is written the future of the warfare for the whole world. And today in Ukraine, we create and test new technologies that can be then applied not only in Ukraine, but all over the world. And just recently, you know, that we launched unmanned forces, and we see how in Ukraine, and we see how important it is actually to go on in technological war, because this one, war in Ukraine, that is the first world drone war. And that is the war of technologies, and that is the war of unmanned systems. And we see that crucial for us is these technologies, because they help, first of all, to keep our people lives, and secondly, they helps us to give a symmetrical answer for the enemies of the resources of the enemy. So, and today we are using more and more unmanned systems, and you know that we really did already big results within drones. Just to give you some numbers, when we were facing full-scale invasion, only 7 codified drones we have within our deployment system in Ukraine, and now we have more than 100 drones deployed in Ukraine. In 2 years, we have more than 100 solutions for the drones. And the same success will be delivered with robotic systems, with electronic warfare, with the integration of AI in these systems. So just to give you some numbers about very fast development of innovation ecosystem in Ukraine, we've launched Brave One just 1 year ago, and in a year we have more than 2,000 applied solutions, and we have more than 1,000 of them passed from military expertise and got status Brave One. It means that they are interesting for the general forces. In a year, we have more than 100 newly codified products and solutions. So it means that our armed forces and all other defense forces, they can use 100 new technological solutions on the front line. So, and today we face that really brilliant situation when state supports our companies in R&D development, in manufacturing scaling, in acquisition capacities. And we see that it's very important for us to go on finding funds and resources to go on developing it. We are very happy that it was announced from the British government that some money will go to Ukrainian R&D as well, because we see that a lot of our teams, they have that really special blend of high motivation, of engineering talents, and what is very important, of very deep understanding what's needed on the front line. And today in Ukraine, we are facing that very deep, realistic situation when we have fast feedback loop. 24 hours, and we know what's working, what is not working. And we see how all our innovations, they are born on the front line, because the front line is the place where the truth is. And more we hear from our international partners and from our international investors when they are talking to the companies, and they are asking if it was tested in Ukraine, if they have some cooperation with Ukraine, because again, that is what realistic and truth is. So, and really we do a lot to develop, and really we see the big opportunity for international companies to come to Ukraine. We are totally open for the investments, for common R&Ds, for joint ventures, for transfer of technology and localization. And today it's not only about supporting Ukraine, but it's as well about capacity building for our allies. Because again, this is not only for Ukrainian side, that is complementary to the global side and global defense market. So we are very open again, and we see that today we have to unite your technological, our experience, and our whole motivation to stop this war aggression by Russia. Thank you.
We have also Evgen Yakovlev, Chief Investment Officer of Skyeton LLC. Skyeton is probably the oldest company producing UAVs in Ukraine, but the company has a little bit different activities before. So maybe you will tell us about the story of your success and how to adapt for civilian tech company to the war realities.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, we started our business in 2006, and originally we produced pilot planes for training centers. And we shift our business to drones in 2014. And up to date, we have already 10 years in this business. And before Russian invasion and after Russian invasion, we every time consider this business like a sustainable long-term story. It was not a reflection on an existing situation or something like that. It was a strategy that we are day by day implemented. Obviously, we faced there are a lot of challenges on this way, and especially in war condition. Our product, it's a 25 kilogram UAV with 3-meter wingspan. And normally we are working on a distance 100, 300, even sometimes 500 kilometers above the front line. It means we should very well understand the condition where we are working and provide service. We have a special department in our company who permanently, 24 hours, 7 days per week, in contact with operators and mutual soldiers, and provide custom support service, let's call. On another hand, they received user feedback. And we able to implement modification of our product very fast. Multiple times today during call meetings we hear this word fast, quick, etc. It's about Ukrainians, by the way. Yes, last year we calculated what amount of modification we implemented during the year. It was more than 400 modifications of different elements we implemented during the year. It means every day we modify 1 or 2 elements of our serial product. Everybody who understands what is it serial production, very clear catch up that it's very difficult. And we should be very creative to keep our product. Our main value of the company is that probably we one of the most reliable drone UAV on the market. Because the philosophy of our company, it's quality instead of quantity. Obviously, we receive the right lot requests and pushing to scale production, to shift our product to smaller class, to bigger class, etc., etc. But up to date, we have only one plane in our portfolio with different modification for different use cases, but we best in the class. It's a point, and it's not only in Ukraine, it's probably all over the world. And last but not least, people. All these results we can achieve only by people, because we are working with people, our product for people, etc. Now, obviously, we have challenges with hiring staff to secure existing team, etc. And it's a critical to keep people motivated, and it's probably the most valuable resources of Ukraine and of our company. And probably very important, it's a supply chain. During the war period, we faced multiple challenges in this regard. Some of our suppliers cannot keep our demand. For example, we ordered 15 components per year. Now we order 300 per month. Some of our suppliers don't want to invest in their production because they do not believe they believe that war finished soon, and they do not see the reason to invest. And third one, probably it's the most painful. It's suppliers who, through intermediary, sell components to Russia. 3-5 times more expensive, but it's a fact. Please, who in the defense industry, look on Orlan's last modification of gimbal. Yes, and last point about our company, it's a team. All our people working on results, not on until 6 p.m. Thank you.
So we opened up a little bit a curtain you to look on Ukrainian defense industry, and now speak with our partners. Maybe Mr. Armin Paperger, the CEO of Rheinmetall, will tell us a little bit about some recent news about any activities in Ukraine.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I'm very grateful about the good cooperation that we have with the Ukrainian government, the German government, and also the German industry. I speak also as president of the community of the defense industry here, and I think it's a really success story what is going forward. The people are very, very motivated here in Germany to help Ukraine, and people is the most important thing. And as the minister said before, I absolutely agree that you have a lot of very good educated people in Ukraine, and it's a win-win situation if we work together. The second point are the projects. On the project side, I think we did a lot, and also the German industry invested a lot, and I can tell you about the Rheinmetall investments that we did from the beginning. First of all, more than 150 tanks are delivered in between to Ukraine, and end of the year it will be more than 220. 100,000 of rounds of artillery missile systems, like the IRIS-T system, which is very helpful to protect life in Ukraine. And what we are doing now is to build up not only a good relationship, but to build up also production lines. And yesterday I was in Ukraine, and I'm very happy together with the minister that we had the ground opening of the first factory in Ukraine, where we have a German-Ukrainian relationship, and where we refurbish, where we maintain, and where we have sustainment on infantry fighting vehicles, but also on main battle tanks, and later also on the howitzer side. But the most important thing is that we agreed that end of this year we will have the first tank, infantry fighting vehicle tank, which has German IPRs produced in Ukraine. And congratulations, Minister, also to that, and thank you very much for your help. But we are not always on the sunny side, so there is also one problem, and this is, and all the politicians left now, but most of them, so let me say the Central Europeans. But the point is that I must say that budget is a problem. And it was very interesting to hear the politician side about that things, but I didn't hear a lot about problems. But I must say budget is a real problem. And if I see in Europe at the moment, we will have delays in deliveries to the Ukraine because we have lack of budget. And it's in Germany starting now because the 100 billion packages is gone. This special investment that we have from the Office of the Chancellor is gone. And to be fair enough, and I fight here now for Ukraine, and I think a little bit it's also my role, we need more money for that, because otherwise in 6 months' time, all the success stories which are coming up now will end because we can no longer then deliver. We have contracts now, everything is fine, but I believe that we have to think very long term. Europe is in a very dangerous situation. All the politicians told us that Ukraine is fighting for us, and that's true. It's all fine. But at the end of the day, yes, we have to help more. And to help more is that we need a long-term strategy, and at the moment, our strategy is a strategy for 6 months or maximum 12 months. That is not enough if you are in war with Russia, with a very dangerous enemy, and nobody knows what happens. Yeah. And nobody really believe that, and I hope all the best it will not happen. But if Ukraine fail, we have a big, big problem in Europe. And therefore, we only can sort it out with money. A lot of governments speak about 2%. I was very happy to hear about 2.5%. But at the end of the day, we must see what really happens. And I have a lot of discussions, especially with European governments, especially with the German government about that, and the pressure must be higher than it is at the moment. The population at the moment, I think, is on our side. The German population will help. More than 50% are on our side that we have to help more the Ukrainians. But with warm words, nothing happens. And again, for me, the most important thing at the moment is to get bigger budget to help Ukraine. Then we can build up the relationships more with great joint ventures with German companies, other European companies with the Ukrainians, and that is the only way for success. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Christian Siar, Senior Director Ukraine of BAE System, the giant which actually probably entered Ukrainian defense industry market. So I'd like to ask you why Ukraine?
Well, thank you, Hannah. And I'd like to just open by saying thank you to my own government, the UK, for everything they've done and their unwavering commitment since the start of this war. On my 5 trips to Ukraine over the last year, we've felt the presence of the UK government alongside us, and we very much see ourselves as an extension of that strategy. And you heard Lord Cameron talk today about the 100-year partnership and the commitment, and I think the UK deserves that recognition. And thank you to Minister Ghani. I don't know if she's still here, but we're with Ukraine, and we're proud of the UK. I'd like to just explain 3 things that BAE Systems has done over the last 2 years, 3 structural things we think have made a significant difference. Since the start of the war, we have fielded over 17 platform categories into the fight, hundreds and hundreds of items, including the CV-90 Swedish tracked vehicle, the Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, the Swedish Archer howitzer, the UK 105mm light gun, and the AS-90 155 howitzer, as well as our MBDA joint venture that produces Storm Shadow that's caused significant damage to the Russian Black Sea fleet headquarter meetings, let's just say. I think the obligation that comes with that is sustainment, and so we've set up a strategic military repair hub in the country, which is currently focused on maintaining UK gifted assets, but to which we're seeking to grow that facility to take on other donated artillery and infantry fighting vehicle assets. It's entirely Ukrainian staffed engineers, and the first batch of engineers have just finished their training at our facility in the UK, so we're very proud of that. And the third thing I'd like to just point out is BAE Systems has established a legal entity in Kyiv. So this is a fully licensed trading company with an office in the heart of Kyiv. And we did that really for two reasons. One, to use that as a possible contracting entity for BAE Systems as a whole, contract direct with Ukrainian companies over the mid to long term, but also to signify to Putin that Western defense technology is on your doorstep. It's a signifying message that we're here to stay and we'll be alongside our governments in Ukraine until it's over. A couple of other things we're focused on is really allowing or enabling a decisive advantage for Ukrainian artillery in fires. So specifically barrel manufacturing. We're looking at a program to restart barrel manufacturing in the UK. So do those forgings in the UK, send them to Ukraine and work with a local partner to then machine those barrels, which also creates an export opportunity for that Ukrainian industrial base. We've also restarted our M777 production line. So we have 150 M777s in the fight right now, various donations from the US, the UK, Canada. It's been a lethal howitzer, one of the early howitzers to enter the fight, but we've just restarted that production line. So the major structures are being built in the UK and the US, the cradles, the saddles, and the bodies, but we'd like to locally assemble those 777s in Ukraine and create a factory in a box concept over the coming months, next year or so. Drones as well is a big part of our strategy. You heard earlier Minister Ghani talking about the drone strategy. The UK leads that capability coalition with Latvia. We, BAE Systems, deliver large numbers of drones to the fight to help offset that ammunition shortage that the warriors face. We're looking now at how do you assemble more and integrate and test those drones in Ukraine. And then finally, long-range precision strike. How do you make Crimea untenable with those really longer range weapons as well? So there are three broader areas that we're looking at over the next year or so. And then I think my final piece is just advice to companies looking to set up in Ukraine. There is plenty you can do. As Hannah said, we were one of the first to establish a legal entity in Kyiv, as well as providing the most amount of systems. But companies looking to enter, there's plenty you can do. You can set that entity up, but you can also scour the Ukrainian supply chain. There's amazing Ukrainian companies that do machining, that do great fabrication work, notwithstanding the brilliant human capital side of things around reverse engineering and really putting to work the skills they've developed. So our strategy is really to be part of that. But I'd encourage companies to really look deep at the supply chain, work with Minister Commission to identify those companies, whether it's you start doing repair work or you integrate those companies into your supply chain. So another example that BAE Systems, what we're doing is we're working with a couple of companies, Ukrainian companies, who are right on the forward line. They're working on BAE Systems equipment. So we're looking to provide those spares direct to those companies, but we're sending those Ukrainian engineers to our facilities to train on the integration and the spares. So my message for all of that is, there's a lot you can do, and it's not good enough to just sit back and wait for your home government to do it. Obviously, I'm fortunate in the UK have been so forward-leaning as an ally to Ukraine, but if anyone is, debating what their presence looks like, BAE Systems is here to help with that. And then just my final point, I think this is a collective endeavor. We look at the sort of future force structure of the Ukrainian armed forces, and we need to think about winning the peace we talk about. So obviously this year, sustain, hold the line, break through next year. But 2026, we want to have the first systems being delivered of new platforms to really deter. Russia, we beat them, they'll go back, but they'll come again. And that thinking starts now. There's over 15 types of 155mm howitzer in Ukraine. We sort of affectionately refer to it as the zoo. And getting spare parts and the different models. We BAE Systems, we have the M109, but the configurations in Ukraine are A2, 3, 4, 5. We've got some A6s there, and getting access to those spare parts isn't easy. But if you have a consolidated future force plan, centered around a few joint German, British howitzers and land systems, it will aid that long-term planning process. So that's kind of one area. I think the other thing that I'd implore sort of the politicians is the collective funding and the collective mechanisms. We saw Holland, Denmark and Sweden have just set up a fund to build CV90s for Ukraine, totaling 400 million. There's opportunities for other EU nations to combine that, to build those weapons together and get them to Ukraine as quick as possible. So we're very pleased that that's been announced on CV90. And then my final point is around end user feedback. We need some real clear formal mechanisms to get the combat feedback from the warriors at the front in a kind of joined up industry, government and RDCU mechanism. Right now it's very tactical. So my team will get signal messages or WhatsApps of Bradley strikes on Russian vehicles or Malloy drones evading Russian electronic warfare, but it's very piecemeal, it's very tactical. We need to really tighten that sort of feedback loop so that we not only make the equipment better for the Ukrainians, but we make our forces stronger for when our future war comes, which will happen if we don't beat Russia now. So thank you very much, and it's an honor to be part of this mission. And as the UK, put it, unwavering commitment stands with BAE Systems as well. So thank you.
So Ukrainian defense industry is developing fast. Even under Shellin, together with our partners, we have great achievements already. And as Minister Commission said, we have a Zbroyery initiative that is kind of fundraising campaign for local Ukrainian manufacturers to procure locally produced weapons for Ukraine armed forces. And the very first country who have done that was Denmark, who believe in local Ukrainian production and allocate money for purchase. And that was also a big support for Ukrainian economy. So we have with us Joachim Finkelmann, Director of the Defense Industry Unit, Confederation of Danish Industry. And I'd like to ask you, what was probably the key factor for Danish people to believe in our industry, and what is maybe some further projects that we might have together?
Thank you so much. And first of all, let me just tell you how thankful we are to be here today in such a distinct panel, and also having Minister Commission here. That's it's an honor. Perhaps to take a different perspective than our German friend, I think from a Danish point of view, for many years we had a lot of time but not enough money. But we found ourselves in a situation now where it's the opposite, basically. We do have the money, but we don't have time. We need to act with what we call the speed of relevance, which means that there's a lot of good intention and a lot of projects, but if they are delivered too late, it's not relevant in the situation that Ukraine is in. That has inspired, of course, some of the thinking from a Danish point of view, not just to donate in a traditional way from stocks, but really to create partnerships and to support the Ukrainian industry as much as possible. It turned out at the end of the day that the rate of conversion in Ukraine from decision to actual solutions was really very fast and faster than we are doing it ourselves. So while handling bureaucracy and decisions back home on traditional donations, the government found it relevant to invest directly in Ukrainian industry and to get the production going in that sense. And this is something that we, from a Danish defense industry perspective, of course, support very much. We've also gone away from these one-off donations into much more of a partnership approach, finding Ukrainian partners. We have had several business delegations in Kiev. We have also invited Ukrainian companies to Denmark frequently, I would say. So we are building this approach, not only exploring one strand instead of the other, but really donating from military stocks, donating with direct investments also from Danish defense industry, and most importantly, having the direct investments in the Ukrainian defense industry. The fact of the matter is that normally when you have such a security situation, you always think about the receiving nation as a security consumer somehow. But it turned out, in fact, that Ukraine is not a security consumer, it's a security provider, not only for its own security, but also for European security. And in order for us to support a security provider, we need strategic partnerships. We need to invest money on the ground, and we need to create partnerships, not just for the future of Ukraine, which is important, but also for the security of Europe in total. That's why we took this approach, and hopefully with the Danish government and the commitments that they have made, this is only the beginning of an adventure where European capabilities of the future will have Ukrainian components, it will have Ukrainian platforms, and they are tested in battle and is state-of-the-art technology. I also want to say today that looking at the build-up of Danish defense forces and the donations and the support that we give to Ukraine, the fact of the matter is that we are spending more money at the moment supporting Ukraine than we are building up our own defense forces. And you could ask yourself if that's a clever choice. I like to see it in a different way, that it's a need, it's not a choice. With that, I just wanted to say that from a Danish perspective, we don't have a large defense industry, but it's highly sophisticated. We have technologies and production capacity, and we think the matchup between what we can do from a Danish industry side and the sort of innovation and the acceleration of Ukrainian companies converting decisions into solutions is something that will really create not just a strong Ukrainian defense industry, but a strong European defense industry in the future. Thanks.
So sorry to say, but we're out of time and we don't have a time for questions from the audience, but I think that you all can reach our panelists to have a quick conversation. Just to summary, Ukraine defense industry is still have a lot of possibilities for cooperation, a lot of possibilities to contribute to world's defense industry, as Ukraine now is the probably only source in the world of experience how to defeat Russians and other bad countries, because this is the only country which faces, and our warfare is very unique. So our companies, different companies, have a lot to offer to world defense industry. So I think there are still a lot of projects ahead. Please don't hesitate to contact panelists with your ideas and questions. I think we will have a lot of events like this in future. Thank you so much. And also, to summary, I want to have a chance to say about my friend. I've lost my friend like a couple hours ago. So that's probably a chance for us to remember who dedicate their life for us to have a chance to sit here. Our defense industry is just a tool in the hands of very brave people. So there was a girl, her call sign was Yalta. She's from Crimea, and I'm sorry, said she will never come back home. So normally we honor our people with a minute of silence, but I want you all to make the loudest applause that we can to thank to all Ukrainians and foreign people who left their lives in Ukrainian battlefield. Thank you.